But you know, जब एक किस्म का nephew होते हैं और चचा होते हैं तो you take some liberties, you know. But now I would request Barrister Murtaza Wahab to please come and present his views and opinions, and then we'll request you to launch the annual report. Barrister Murtaza Wahab.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellencies, members of the English Speaking Union of Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Majid Bhai was saying that he should be called the mayor, or he should be known as the mayor. Right now, Majid Bhai, my reputation is of being the heir to the good name of my parents. And touch wood, inshallah, my ambition is that I will retain that recognition, the trust, the confidence that the people have in the performance of my parents, so that, you know, God has been very kind to me. I became a provincial minister at the age of 31, a senator at the age of 33, again a provincial minister, now the administrator at the age of 37. God has been very, very kind. And still, the recognition that I get from people is that I am the son of Wahab Siddiqui or Fawzia Wahab. And that to me is the biggest compliment. And I hope to retain the same amount of love, affection, appreciation that the people have for my parents. Inshallah, they will have the same appreciation for me. To be honest, when I'm not a politician by choice. I never planned on getting into politics. It was never in my to-do list that I'll be entering politics, and that too at such a young age. It was a coincidence that I was born in a family of politicians. It's a coincidence that I was able to develop some name in the field of law, and my party was looking for a person who could bridge the gap between the legislative work and government issues. And that's how I got a call one fine day or unfortunate day that I should just come and see the leadership, and there I was told that Murtaza, we're making you the Law Minister of Sindh. It was shocking, but honestly speaking, I did not even think for a second. My immediate reaction was, thank you, sir, it will be an honor. And that's how my political journey started. My journey is not of struggle, but rather of working for the government. And the reason why I so keenly agreed to join government was because I call myself a Pakistani by choice. We're all Pakistanis, yes, with the exception of few. But I call myself a Pakistani by choice for the reason that I got the opportunity of leaving Pakistan. I went abroad for my studies. I studied abroad, got a degree abroad. I had the opportunity to stay back in England or anywhere in the world. But I chose to come back. And I chose to come back because I have fond memories of this place. Because I feel that nothing can happen in this society until and unless we become part of the process of change. And that's how I decided to come back, started my law practice. God was very kind. And here I am at different government positions. So again, when about 3 months ago I was told by the leadership that we are appointing you as the administrator of Karachi, my immediate reaction was, sir, think again. Because it's such a Herculean task. It's a task which has been plagued by lack of governance. It is a task where you as residents, as citizens, are only immune to hearing that I don't have any authority, I can't do anything. So I had this thing in my mind that whether I should actually take on this responsibility or not. But I was told that no, you have to take on the responsibility and somebody has to intervene, somebody has to become part of a system of change in the city. And that's how my appointment came about. And while it's very encouraging that a person of my age, my background, was given the opportunity to lead the city, what was also very discouraging was, before I had assumed charge, people had started criticizing the appointment. A lot of people were saying he can't do it, he's too young, he's not experienced. As if, you get a crash course to be the mayor of Karachi. There's no crash course for such things. You learn at job. And it is the experience that you gather, that you gain during the course of work, which helps you understand the problems and then come up with solutions. Having worked in the government for about 6 years, I look at things in a very different perspective. Because I don't look at things in a manner where one feels that, government is all powerful. If the government wants to do something, the government can do it. But when you work for the government, you realize what impediments we have to face with, what difficulties we have to face. Thebo Saab is sitting here. He's been part of the government service. He's been part of the police service of Pakistan. You speak to any public servant right now, and when I say public servant, I mean public office holders as well as the government servants, civil servants. There is no person who would be saying that I do not want to be part of the change. Everyone says I want to work for the betterment of the society. But unfortunately, when we look at things, we are unable to actually achieve the change. And one of the reasons for that inability to attain change is because we've become too cynical. We've become too negative in our approach. Because we always start off by saying, okay, but we can't do this. Okay, however, this can't be done. And this negativity, unfortunately, has crept into our system where people are more keen to say no rather than saying yes. So when someone speaks to me, someone asks me, what is your first target as the administrator? My first target is to instill confidence of the people in the state, is to make the people more confident about the fact that the government is interested in working for change, is to give people the hope that yes, this system of governance can deliver and inshallah will deliver. And that's my first target. Because with cynicism around, with negativity around, we cannot actually work for change. So that's one area where I feel we need to change ourselves. The second, or let me put it this way, the target that I've given to myself, because I don't have a lot of time, this is an interim period, the elections are to take place, an elected mayor will come in. There are certain areas which have been prioritized by myself. And the first area is solid waste, garbage collection. It's a sore point for the entire city. Anyone who goes through a portion of the city blames the provincial government that yes, it is the provincial government which has failed to collect the garbage. Because we're very fast in finger pointing. Nobody tries to understand what is the reason why garbage is there. Now there are two things. For us to understand, or for us to actually find the solution to Karachi's problem, we first need to understand what the problem is. And trust me, the problem is not of authority, it is not of powers. Solid waste collection was always a municipal function, it is a municipal function, and it continues to be a municipal function. It was never the mayor who was responsible for garbage collection. It was the DMCs, it was the union committees, the lowest tier of the government, who used to clear the roads, collect the garbage. But unfortunately, we developed this rhetoric that the provincial government has usurped our powers. So it was never the power of the mayor, it was the power of the DMCs. And if you look at Karachi right now has 7 districts. The worst affected districts of Karachi were District Central and District Korangi. In both these areas, solid waste was not functional. It was the DMC of a particular political party which were elected by the people of that particular district, who had assumed the charge of DMC. Garbage collection was their responsibility. And unfortunately, they failed to deliver. And the reason why they deliberately failed to deliver was, had they delivered, they could not have told all of you that the provincial government is creating impediments. So they created this perception, they created this rhetoric that, the provincial government of Sindh has usurped my power, I can't do anything. Whereas, as a matter of fact, as a matter of law, it was the responsibility of the chairman of DMC Central to collect the garbage of DMC Central. It was the responsibility of chairman DMC Kurangi to collect the garbage of DMC Kurangi. Similarly, Karachi is just not DMC or KMC. Karachi has cantonment boards. Karachi has 6 cantonment boards. Majority of the people, I'm assuming, are probably residents of Clifton or DHA. They're all from a locality which is not governed by the provincial government, not governed by the local government. They're governed by the cantonments, by a federal law. The cantonment boards are federal entities. But when you go on the road, and let's see on the main road of Clifton after Teen Talwar, you see garbage on the road, you will say the provincial government has failed. You go towards the different streets of DHA, you will say that the provincial government has failed. You go to Gulistane-Johar, you see garbage on the road, you say the provincial government has failed. That's also a cantonment board. Then we have federal territories, areas like KPT, Port Qasim, railways, which do not come within the domain of either the provincial government or the local government. So if I am to pass the buck on, or if I am to just focus on blame game, I can just put the blame on another entity. But for me to find a solution, the start is that we need to educate people about the problem, what the problem is. And the problem is that this city desperately needs a uniform system all over the city. That is, the districts are controlled by those elected people, elected by the residents of that locality, and the local government system becomes functional. With this bifurcated system where we have in a city 6 DMCs, 1 KMC, 6 cantonment boards, 4 federal entities, real change cannot happen. And because we are people who talk about issues, we write articles, we engage with people, we need to start talking about this issue, that Karachi needs to have one uniform system like there is in Islamabad, like there is in Lahore. And until we find that uniform system, the blame game will continue, where I will say, this is not my responsibility, this is his responsibility. He will say, this is not my responsibility, it is his responsibility. So the change will come when we start to educate ourselves. Same goes for the public participation with regards to garbage. Nowhere in the world garbage is collected 24 hours a day. There are days, there are hours specified. The municipality comes, collects the garbage and takes it away, disposes it off. Unfortunately, in our city, we clean our houses 6 times a day, throw the garbage on the road and expect the municipality to come and collect it, because we find it easier to put the blame on the municipality. So the residents also need to develop a sense of participation in the system of governance, because without cooperation of a common man, no government can deliver. So it has to be, wo kehte hain, public-private partnership. This is public-private partnership, that I, the citizen, also need to understand my responsibilities in the society. And if I become a responsible citizen, I should be able to successfully deal with issues, and I will then be able to also constructively engage with the government in solving the problems. The second issue that I've earmarked is water. Karachi, the biggest problem for Karachi right now is we don't know how many people live in the city. The federal government says that it is a city of 16.1 million people. But on ground, we all know it's not 16.1 million people. So without knowing the actual number of people, how can you actually assess the requirement of the city? How can you plan for the city? So if you assess the requirement of water based on the population, which is the official population right now, Karachi needs 1100 million gallons of water a day. 1100 million gallons of water a day. Karachi right now has two sources of water. One is the Hub Dam, the other is Kinjhar. Hub Dam provides about 75 to 80 million gallons of water a day. Kinjhar provides about 450 million gallons of water a day. So we are at about 525, 530 MGD water, 45% of our actual requirement. It is not humanly possible for anyone to solve the problem immediately. We talk about K4, we talk about all of these things. These will take time. While making such decisions, you also have to bear in mind the fact that water as a commodity is getting scarce as years go by. Climate change has severely affected our country. Today, earlier in the cabinet meeting, the Minister for Irrigation was telling the cabinet that we have severe water crisis even for agriculture right now because the water has not been released up north, downstream of Kotri. The world has gone towards alternate sources of water. In Pakistan, we are still contemplating. We are still deliberating. I say this to everyone that if we are to decide today that yes, the water issue needs to be resolved, desalination is a reality anywhere in the world now. Karachi is a coastal city, Gwadar is a coastal city. We can cater to our needs by way of the ocean, like that is the case in a number of Middle Eastern countries. It's there in China now, it's there in England, it's there in America, it's there in Australia, but we are still contemplating. And the reason why we are still contemplating is because your government functionaries right now are so scared to decide, because they've realized they decide and they will be questioned. The moment they make a decision, they put their signature on the file, NAB will send them a notice. The court will question them, why did you decide this way? Thebo Saab is smiling, having faced all of this over the last 35 years of his life. Let me assure you that the provincial government right now realizes that if there is a long-term solution to the water miseries of the city, a solution which is sustainable, we have to go towards the ocean. But let me share the reluctance of the government with you. And the reluctance is twofold. First is, yes, the interference is the judicial scrutiny, the scrutiny by NAB. The second is, we don't think of water as a commodity. World over, water is priced. In Karachi, we are willing to pay for the tankers, and we do pay for the tankers. But if the municipality comes, if the water board comes, or if the cantonment board comes and says, look, you need to pay me for the water bill, we are not willing to make that payment. Due to which this has become a cycle. We are going round and round. The state cannot decide because without public support, if the people are not willing to make payment for water, it's a hefty investment. It won't be viable, and if it won't be viable, we will have another circular debt. So this is another area where I feel that as citizens, we need to cooperate with each other. We need to tell the government that yes, we as citizens are willing to pay for the water. If we decide today, yes, we can make this payment, this entire thing can be turned into a reality. And in the next 6 to 9 months, a desalination plant can be installed off the coast of Karachi. We have certain companies which have come, which have assessed the water situation, and they've stated that desalination can take place. A lot of people who are skeptical, let me tell you, there are desalination plants which are functional in the city right now. You go to PF Masroor base, there is a desalination plant. You go towards PF Korangi, there is a desalination plant. There are certain private entities, certain consulates, which have these plants. It is possible, but we need to join hands with the government, because the government alone won't be able to sustain it. We might be able to pull it off for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, but for it to sustain, the public needs to realize, needs to understand that yes, we will be ready and willing to make the payment. And let me just elaborate this point by giving you the numbers. The water that we buy through the tanker, it costs us 2 rupees per gallon, and we make that payment. The water through desalination is going to be cheaper than that. It is going to be much cheaper than that. So we need these forums where we can engage with each other, we can convince each other that this is a way forward. Otherwise, we are a city which is expanding at such a fast pace, the population is increasing at such a fast pace, the problems will further amplify. Third is transport. We have completed the detailed design of Red Line. The consultancy agreement has been signed, the civil works contract has been finalized, and we should be able to enter the execution phase in the next 30 days. So Red Line will be starting the Red Line work in the next 30 days. The Orange Line, which is now called the ED line, which will supplement the Green Line, its infrastructure is complete. 90% work is done, the finishing touches are being done. That will also be ready in time with the Green Line to complement it, to supplement it. We are in the process of procuring 250 new buses for the city of Karachi. The money has been allocated, it has been kept in the budget, which has been passed by the Assembly. The tender has been floated, so hopefully by the end of this year or early next year, we should have about 250 new buses on the roads of Karachi. We've started the process of Malir Expressway. The construction work has started. The financial close has been achieved. This project will connect the Korangi area with Malir, and we should be able to bypass the entire city and reach the superhighway in just 20 minutes time from EBM Causeway. So again, our target is that hopefully in the next 24 to 30 months, the Malir Expressway project will be completed. Work has begun on the link road between the National Highway and the superhighway. Work has begun, and inshallah in the next 6 months, we should be able to complete the construction work on the link road. Beach is an area where all of us visit. The road to the beach was in shambles for a number of years. Last year in October, we decided to completely reconstruct the road. I'm happy to inform you that the road has been constructed, it has been completed, and right now from ICI Bridge, which is just around the corner, if you go towards Sandspit, it will only take you 20 minutes. You can access the road. It's a 3-lane track all the way till Sandspit. 90% of the work is done. The lane marking needs to take place. And from Sandspit to Manola, again, the road has been completed, opened up for public. You can go access the road. Now, in the next phase, we are starting work on the road which will connect the area from Machli Chowk to Canap, which is the French Beach area, Tushan Beach area. Tender will be announced for constructing that road in the next, hopefully 30 to 35 days. And again, we'll start work on that. We are doing a lot of work on improving the old neighborhoods of the city. You might have heard about the Karachi Neighborhood Improvement Project. We had developed this urban center in the old city area of Sadr called the People's Square, right next to SM Law College and DJ College. It's a underground basement parking facility available for the residents. And on top of it, we've started a piazza. We've developed a piazza where people can come with their families, and there is recreation. There are restaurants available for the people to enjoy. We've developed such initiatives in Korangi and one in Malir. In the second phase, we are starting work on developing the Sean Circle all the way till Boat Basin into a proper food street, and we will be developing a food street along with 4 parks for the neighborhood area. The tender has been published in the newspaper yesterday. Once the tender is finalized, we'll start work on that. What else? We are Kakri ground we're developing. The old neighborhood around the Wazir Mansion area has again been transformed into a very nice urban space. The entire drainage, the entire sewerage has been redone. So a lot of work is taking place, and hopefully in the next 6 months, you will see realization of that work. And hopefully that work will give you hope that yes, the same system that had for the last 6-7 years told you that there is no authority, there is no power, there cannot be any deliverance. The same system with no additional power, with no additional fiscal space will deliver and will give something to the people of the city for them to develop a sense of hope that the government is watchful, that the government is cognizant, and inshallah that the government will deliver. And hopefully once when the elected local governments come in, that elected mayor can take that process forward, and we can actually realize the dream of having a cosmopolitan Karachi as we all dream of. Thank you very much. Pakistan Zindabad.
Someone comes and gives you a roadmap of what he is going to do for the city of Karachi and how he is going to transform. And this much I can tell you, he is a doer. So I thought that you will on your own give him a standing ovation. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Usually at our events, we have a Q&A for another 15-20 minutes. But, you know, this is a different event, and
I don't mind.
no, most of the things that you have said